Hey guys, this is HellHades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, this is going to be a really cool one. I've got the other content creators to give me their view on champions that have sat in their vault for a long time and then all of a sudden have surged in value and now they use them a lot. Champions reverse of that they used to use all the time, now they just sit in vaults. And then other champions which they just love the design of, or they love the kind of feel of the champion, but they just don't really have a use in the game right now. So I'm going to give you mine initially. I deliberately have not watched any of the content creators' responses yet, because I don't want it to kind of bias what I'm going to say. But we've asked them for one epic and one legendary in each of those categories. And I'm going to give you mine first. So let's start then. Champions, which I never used to use or really see much value in, that have now come out of the vault. And we're talking over like the last 12 months here. Me, as well as a ton of these other people that you're going to see. All worth going and checking out, by the way. I will put all of their kind of YouTube links below, just in case you want to go and find some other creators that perhaps you didn't know about before. But we've all done tier lists. We've all talked about champions. And it kind of feels a little bit like egg on your face when all of a sudden somebody pops up that everyone thought was bad. And then all of a sudden, they're really good for something. It's a bit of egg on your face. We're going to jump into today's video sponsor before we jump into the rest of the content creators. So today's video is sponsored by Dislyte, produced by Lilith Games, the same company that bought you AFK Arena, Rise of Kingdoms, and the list goes on. You can download the game using the links in my description below and my pinned comment. So Dislyte is a futuristic urban adventure set a few years from now. In 2027, the human civilization faces the great challenge of miracles. Under the influence of these miracles, some of the humans gain the divine power of being an Esper. Espers have to come together and fight for the survival of humankind. So what's quite cool, there's a really diverse set of characters here because each of these different Espers, they're from different places around the world and they all kind of carry their own traits and personalities depending on where they come from. So very similar to Raid Shadow Legends, Dislyte's going to be a collector game. You're going to be collecting different Espers so that you can pull them together in the right strategic way, the right formations to overcome enemy bosses, general content within the game. And using the right team formations and strategy and skills that come with these Espers is going to help you drive yourself forward. So you can pre-register for this game using the link in my description below and in the pinned comment. Thank you again, Dislyte, for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the raid video. So let's start then with champions that used to live in my vault and are now awesome. I'm going to give you my legendary first, and I'm going to pull up Drex. So Drexar was actually added to the Bazaar as like a obtainable legendary champion. And there was uproar. It's like, what is this champion? Terrible champ, blah, blah, blah. There was no Doom Tower at the time. Drexar has become one of the most consistently used champions for Doom Tower. Absolutely bonkers. Really cool because you don't need to book him to get the utility out of him. Most of his awesomeness comes from his passive, but he does hit pretty hard on his A2 as well. But Drexar for me is number one. My legendary that I didn't used to use, or I didn't really see used, but now there's a ton of use for. And then in terms of an epic, I've just got to call out Doom Priest, really. Doom Priest was always good, okay? She was always solid, and she was almost like, I'll use her if I have to. Whereas now, I just feel like she gets into so many teams because of this bonkers passive. There's nothing else really that's good about a kit, by the way. The rest of a kit is like, fine, whatever. But this passive is absolutely broken good. And especially when we've got so much content now, which is just throwing debuffs at us. Doom Priest just kind of like, I've had another go, I wiped one off. Another go, wipe one off. So she comes in for me as another kind of value surge. In terms of champs then that were good that now live in the vault for me, I'm going to start with the epic on this one because he's fresh in my brain. And I'm not going to say he's useless now. Royal Guard is still super useful, okay? But I feel like, for me personally, he doesn't get into any of my teams. And it's a sad thing. Like, he is a bonkers epic that everyone used to want. Everyone used to want to pull. He's still great, don't get me wrong. Just for me personally, he has been sidelined and is not being used right now because I don't use him in any of my Dungeon 21 to 25 teams. And he doesn't really come into Doom Tower because he's just too squishy. So he used to run for me in my Dragon 20, my Spider 20, and nowadays him and his friend Royal Guard 2 both live in the vault. So let's talk about a legendary then that I used to use and I don't really use at all anymore. This is a sad one. I guess I use him a touch, but Ultan, it's a sad day when you're calling out Ultan. I don't use Ultan in any of my clan boss teams because I'm basically running unkillable teams. Every now and again he gets a kind of a figure in a non-unkillable team, but even then kind of Brago really supersedes him in the teams that I run. And other than maybe throwing him into a Griffin team now and then, he doesn't get a look in, which is a shame because he is an absolute beast of a champion. And honestly, he was probably my favourite champion for a long time. Like personally, he was my personal favourite champion for a long time. Okay, so the last category then is champions that you would wish they would do something with to make them usable. I'm going to start with this fella. I wish that this awesome looking champion, King Garog, was updated so that he's actually got some content to play in. Or they bring something out where he's relevant. He's still not relevant. 2 new Doom Tower bosses, doesn't get a look in. He is a sweet ass looking legendary with these blades. He's one of the champions that I hope they really do a rework of when they do the upcoming rework of champions, whenever that is. None of his kit really makes sense. His passive is a cool passive, but there's no content in the game where it's relevant. So King Garog for me is the one that I wish they would update to be relevant. And then the last one for me, I don't think I've got one that's leveled. Do I have one I can show you quick? I wonder if you guys can guess who this is going to be. I mean, what is this champion all about? Woad painted. I really hope they do something with her because at the minute, she is useless. Totally useless, and she's become a bit of a meme. So there you go. That's my picks. We're going to jump through now into other content creators. I hope you enjoy their picks as well. Let's do it.
Hey guys, IvyGaming here. My value search for Epic is going to be Loria. She has AoE freeze on her A2, which is going to be really helpful in the new Doom Tower boss. Her A3 also hits really hard. On that same note, we have Lord Shazar. He has bombs on his A3, and I'm looking forward to actually utilizing him when the new Doom Tower rotation comes out. Sadly, to the vault for me is Skull Crusher. I used to use him constantly, mainly in Clan Boss, of course, but now I have a Bat Eater team, and it's just easier, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Killian the Lucky here, he is my to the vault. I used him for beating Faction Wars 21, and I still used him pretty regularly in Faction Wars, but now I don't even use him there, sadly. I just have other people that have replaced him with a little bit better crowd control and overall utility. Steel Skull is the one I think needs a buff. I wish his A2 would have a little bit increased chance of poisoning, especially to make him more viable for Clan Boss when you don't have a counterattack champion. And last, I'll say Cubitus needs a buff before I end up really using him ever. AoE HP burn would be nice instead of random, and maybe increase attack on all allies instead of just himself.
All right, so champs that have had a value surge from the past. I have Drex. I have his frags. I just haven't collected him yet on my main account. I'm using him a lot on the free-to-play. He has been huge on the free-to-play in Doom Tower. It's got to be Drex, though. I remember when Drex was kind of a meme before Doom Tower came out. Nobody really did much with him. He wasn't really that good for much. I think they did buff him at a certain point, but really when Doom Tower came out is when he started to shine. He's in just about every Doom Tower team. He makes so much of it so much easier. So I think compared to him almost having been a meme back in the day to now being like one of the top Doom Tower champs, I feel like you gotta throw a little bit of love on Drex. I'm wondering if everyone's gonna say Drex for the legendary here, but that's my vote. That's my vote for that. My vote for the epic, hopefully a little bit less used amongst the other guys, is Vrask. I feel like I've always been a really big fan of Vrask. I've always thought he was really good. I always thought he contributed very heavily to pretty much anywhere you wanted to take him. I think in Doom Tower, he fits into some really safe comps for up in Doom Tower hard. He's part of a few of my teams late in hard Doom Tower. with bosses. I use him in the Griffin. I use him in the Eternal Dragon, I believe. I use him quite a bit, and he just offers a lot of sustainability. You get a good relentless set on this dude. You can lock out the A2 and just shoot that HP way up, and he's dropping really beefy heals constantly. And sometimes that relentless procs 2 or 3 times, and he basically heals everybody back to full health. He's killer. And I feel like he's kind of I don't know that he's being fully appreciated still, but I feel like as going from an epic who not a lot of people talked about really at all, to now being fairly popular in some of these harder or deeper hard Doom Tower teams, I think probably this is my vote for like the best value surge out of an epic. For used to use but sit in the vault now, for epic I gotta go Tayrail, man. Tayrail used to be like the epic. He used to be the game-changing epic. It took me forever to pull this dude on my old account. Took me forever. I could not get a Tayrail to save my life. I think by the time I finally got him, he was kind of on his way out. It's not that he's bad now. He's not bad. He's still very usable. He can still fit into a lot of things. And if he's all you got for an option, he fills the role great. But it's just that there's just better stuff now, I think. He just doesn't get used as much. I'm not really doing anything with him. I don't really see people talking about him much anymore. And it's a shame because it's still a really good kit. He's still really diverse. He does a lot of things. He contributes heavily. He's just not getting used. All right, for my used to use but sits in the vault now legendary, this breaks my heart. When I realized this was going to be my vote for this, it actually made me a little bit sad. Fushan was my first legendary that I ever pulled in raid. And I am just in love with this champion. I just think that he's so good. I think that he deserves more love. I think people don't appreciate everything that he does. He's got a really good speed lead in all battles, a semi AoE defense break, a very reliable stun despite that it says 20% chance. He very regularly stuns all the enemies for me. It's almost like that the wording is wrong, or the text is wrong and there's a better chance. Even skilled, I swear he stuns the whole wave often for me. And then I've seen this first skill pop off, dude. He'll melt the dragon with this thing. He's just so good. He's so good and so diverse. I used him in Clan Boss for a long time. He was in every single dungeon team. He was in my every single bit of content in this game I took him into. I think he's so good. It really breaks my heart that I'm not doing anything with him. I may have to dust him off and get him out of the vault and just use him again for principle because I love him, man. I love him. I hate that I'm not using him anymore. Champs that I love and want to see buffed. Relic Keeper, dude. Relic Keeper. I love Relic Keeper. I was such a big advocate for this dude early in the game. I was such a big advocate for him early on. Even when everybody hated him. Everybody hated on him. I was like, don't hate on this dude. He's your farmer. He's built for it. He's got a job and he does it well. I used him in Clan Boss for a while, dude. I was getting like 2 to 3 million damage out of him back in the day in Clan Boss. He was my campaign farmer. You could play him in Arena early game, maybe even up into the mid game a little bit. It's just, and he's still like a permanent fusion, and he's just gotten less and less relevant. I mean, he was never super relevant, but he's gotten less and less usable even. I feel like there's just so much in the game now, especially now they got the ninja thing going on. You get ninja in 7 days. You just don't need him by the time you confuse him. And you confuse him pretty quick, so that's saying something, right? I think they need to buff this dude up if they're going to leave him in the permanent fusion pool, because no one's doing anything with Relic Keeper. Like, literally no one is doing anything with Relic Keeper anymore, and it's a shame, dude. He looks cool. He's got a really cool kit. There's just some, they got to do something. I don't know. I don't even know what. I'd have to think about what I think they should do to him, but I've always loved Relic Keeper, man. I've always been ride or die for Relic Keeper. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I just think that he's just progressively falling behind every time they add new champs to the game. And that's a shame, man, because I love me some Relic Keeper, so I would love to see him get a buff. And for my legendary that I love and want to see buffed, it's War Chief. I've been kind of in the same vein as Relic Keeper. I've been a fan of War Chief since day one. I think he looks so cool. He just looks like he should be such a problem. And they're this close on his kit. They're this close to having something going on in his kit. He just needs some slight tweaks, and he'll be so good. You kind of have to build him in a counterintuitive way. He's got really good base defense, but the way that his kit is set up, it kind of complements having low defense. They kind of missed the mark on this dude, and it really bums me out because he's so cool looking. I think he's really cool looking. And again, I think that the general concept around this champion's kit could be so problematic. It could be so useful, and they just missed some tweaks. He needs some tweaks, but I love him, and I would love to see him buffed.
All right, HellHades, I'll play your little game. So for a champion that has seen the biggest value increase, I mean, the correct answer is Metal Shaper, right? Because no one used that guy. No one used him before you needed a two-turn shield on a two-turn cooldown for Scarab King. But also, Drexstar is a champion who was already solid, but now he's just one of the best in the entire game with Doom Tower bosses. Sorry for giving two there. Champion that I used to use now sits in my vault, Tyrell. Just want that 3-turn cooldown on the decreased defense, right? And there's so many options now, and so many other good defensive auras as well. And champion you love, but you want to see buffed. For me, it's definitely Deathless. Very cool, outside the box champion conceptually, but she definitely needs a rework, more damage at the very least.
Thanks for having me on, HellHades. I'm the Deadwood Jedi. We're talking about champions whose stocks are going up through the roof to start, and I'm going to begin with Mordin Macabre. Now, he's still not great everywhere, but he's getting so much love in the arena. Not only does he have this great speed aura, not only does he block buffs, but he's got this peril ability, which as a defense in arena is bonkers and can do work. Terrible on offense, amazing on defense. I'm buying this guy. The other champion I'm buying, Rear Guard Sergeant. Yeah, she's good. She's been used for a long time, but her AI was so bad. Well, now that we have AI priorities, completely changed that game. I'm talking about getting ally protection out. I'm talking about healing. I'm talking about decreased defense, decreased attack, and she's amazing in the faction war. Guys, if you haven't gotten Rear Guard Sergeant, go get her. This is a hot commodity. But they can't all be going up. Some of them have to go down, and I'm talking about Fu Shan. This guy used to be outstanding, but now hardly used. Reason why? Well, he's still got that aura. He's still got that AoE stun. He still has that AoE decreased defense. The problem, none of them are guaranteed. They're all random targets and the random percentages. He's just being outclassed by other champions in this game. If I have Fu Shan, I'm selling. The other champion I'm selling, Tyrell. And you're going, Tyrell, he's great. And you're right, he is. He still has that decreased attack, that decreased defense, the turn meter reduction. The problem is there's so many other champions that do what he does and do it better for dungeons. I cannot stress that enough. Stag Knight's great. Dux is great. There's a ton of them out there. And unfortunately, Tyrell kind of gets left in the dust. He's still great in Clan Boss, but honestly, his stock's on the way down. I'm selling before it hits bottom. There's so many champions that need love. Wait, you thought I was going to talk about War Mother? Who am I, Stu Gaming? Come on. No, I'm talking about Crypt King Brawl, guys. This man needs some help. Look, he's got decreased attack on the A1, but not guaranteed. He's got HP burn on the A2, but it's random and not guaranteed. And then he's got a freeze, but you have to have HP burn first. What is going on with this kid? None of it makes sense. He's never been good. He needs some love bad. And for the epic, I'm going Blast from the Past, one of the most used champions when I first started playing this game. Now hardly ever gets seen any game time out there. I'm talking about Juliana. She looks amazing. Her kit's really interesting. Turn meter boost on the A1, crit rate poison on the A2. We got HP burn on the A3. But unfortunately, there's no real way to use her. The turn meter makes her bad for Clan Boss. The other stuff just isn't enough to really utilize her in anything else. It's unfortunate, but Juliana is just sitting in my vault and a lot of people's vaults, and I would love to break her out. Give her some love.
HellHades, thanks for being amazing and having us on. You asked me which champion, legendary and epic, do I believe wasn't as good before but is really viable in the game now. As far as a legendary champion, I'm going to have to go with Drexstar Blood Twin. We can get him in the Bazaar, and he's used on almost every single boss in the Doom Tower. He can help you with Doom Tower waves. He can actually help you go through normal dungeons if you want. Before, he just wasn't played that often. Once Doom Tower came out, once they buffed him, he's just amazing. And as far as an epic champion that wasn't really used a lot before and is used now, I'm going to have to go with another one for Doom Tower, and that's Vergus. Solo Vergus on the Scarab King. Scarab King is so crazily hard that having an epic champion that can solo it, and that rocketed his value up tremendously. Question number 2, which epic and legendary champion that I used to use a lot and now that sits in the vault? I don't really have a lot of legendaries that sit in the vault that I used before, but if I had to pick one that I can think off the top of my head, I would say Ithos. Ithos is still an amazing nuker, and he's void, so I could use him everywhere, but I love Herndig. Herndig is just too damn good. I have so much fun with Herndig. I use him as my Nightmare campaign farmer now instead of Ithos. The debuffs that he does, the extra turns that he takes,
I am in love with Herndig, and I want to see more champions like that I'm really excited to play. As far as an epic goes that I used to use that I don't anymore, I'm going to go with Terrell. Terrell was amazing back in the day. AoE decreased defense, but on a 4-turn cooldown, decreased attack on the A1, turn meter reduction on the A3. Now we have so many good epic champions that do AoE decreased defense, but maybe they also do decreased attack or block buffs on the enemy, and it's all on a 3-turn cooldown. So I can't justify using my Terrell anymore, even though if I did use him, I can still get through all the content. Which champion do I want to see buffed? I want to see War Mother buffed. I believe War Mother deserves some love. Big ol' War Mother with that smiling face, and after all, she is a mother, deserves to be overpowered. I want to see that big booty come in there and shake some people down. She's going to be used now on the new boss we have with bombs. Hopefully she's got a place there, but I really think that she could be buffed. Then we can see her beauty maybe in something like Arena. That's all I've got. Thanks for having me. I will see you all in a video soon.
Hey guys, I'm Laila Fox. For today's video, I wanted to focus a bit more on my free-to-play alt account. So talking about champs that we started using a lot recently, on my alt account for the legendary and the epic, we have Brachus and Vrask. Now, particularly with Brachus, I started using him more because, come on, look at him. He is a really, really cool champ. I took him and I threw him into my arena. I also added him into Clan Boss, and I really like how much he's been able to increase the damage in these areas. And for Vrask, I love how Vrask has been able to add in some extra healing ability into my dungeon runs. For champs I used to use a lot that are currently vaulted, now keep in mind, this isn't because I think these champs are bad at all. It's just that I ended up getting some other options. The two champs in this segment were Yannicka and High Katoon. Now again, Yannicka, I love her. She was the first legendary. Having gotten some other options, I wanted to give some other legendaries a chance. And High Katoon, again, she's a great champ that we get for free in the game. She's a fantastic epic, but also similarly, I had gotten some other speed boosting type champs that I've been able to add into my comp. So both of these have been added to the vault, but I do still think they're great champs. And the champs that I want to use, but I haven't been able to really find a place for yet, are Elder Skarg and Shaman. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are going to be laughing and saying, okay, Shaman, but if those of you that know me, you know I'm a big fan of the underdog, until I ended up pulling both Raglan and Cardinal very, very early into the game, which made me sideline Shaman into the vault. And Elder Skarg, I did end up pulling him, but honestly, I don't really think I have the gear to be able to really use him yet, because again, this account is a free-to-play alt, so I can't always use all of the champs that I end up acquiring. So again, keep in mind, all these champs that I talked about, especially the ones I don't use anymore or the ones that are vaulted, it's not because I think they're terrible. It's just because the state of my account is I have other champs that unfortunately need to take priority at the time.
Hello everybody, HellHades, thanks for having me on. I'm gonna jump straight to the subject and I'm gonna start with the epic champions. I feel like one of the epic champions that saw a huge value surge in the last 1 year or so is no one else but Vergis, guys. Awesome champion. He got a bit of a rework a while ago, but since the release of the Doom Tower, he is amazing. He owns the Scarab King, right? A lot of you guys are using him to solo the Scarab King. I used to run this champion for such a long time to wreck that boss, and I'm still using this champion in the present. Awesome, awesome champion. Definitely a champion I would recommend you to invest in. Now, the next champion that I want to talk about, I feel like he kind of had a bit of a emotional connection to me because he carried my ass so much, guys. He is an amazing champion. Unfortunately, I'm not using him anywhere anymore. He's vaulted. Gorgorap. He was a beast of a champion back in the day. He's still an awesome champion. Speed aura for arena, booster meter, increase attack, revive, heal. But I'm not using him anywhere else. Even in Faction Wars, he kind of dropped for me since I got Siffy. But still an amazing champion. Unfortunately, I'm currently not using him at all. Now, the champion that I would really want to see buffed, guys, and is actually a new release champion, more or less, is no one else but Konoru. The game runs so laggy, honestly, guys. Like, Plarium, please fix the game. Konoru, guys, she looks awesome. Like, I love the design on this champion. But honestly, for a new release champion, she feels kind of like underwhelming, right? Like, we have on the A1, one hit, 50% chance to land the block buffs. Nothing too crazy on the A2 is 3 times at random, 100% chance to land the weaken. And the A3 removes all increased defense buffs from all enemies, then attacks. Base stats are not impressive, her HP is super low, defense not amazing compared to the HP, speed as well. So I feel like this champion really needs a buff, considering that is a new released epic champion. In terms of legendaries, guys, Some of you might agree with me, some of you might disagree, but honestly, since the release of the Doom Tower, Dragstar Bloodwind had seen an insane value surge. Awesome, awesome champion. We are all able to get him for free. Maybe other content creators, they agree with me on this, but he's just amazing, right? We have Provoke, we have Attack Down, we have HP Burn, and we've seen he's such an amazing champion for the Doom Tower. I'm using him in like 2-3 different teams in the Doom Tower against bosses. Definitely an amazing, amazing champion. The next champion that I want to talk about that I used to run all around, and unfortunately, I'm not using him anywhere at all, so not even Faction Wars, and that champion is Royal Huntsman. It doesn't mean that he's an awful champion. His AI is still wonky, right? It's not working perfectly. He has pretty good base stats. He deals tons of damage. But honestly, I'm using Tyrell instead of him for that defense down. Why? Honestly, I don't know. I just prefer Tyrell over this champion. I feel like I have more utility, even for Faction Wars. Plus, I'm using Tyrell in many other places, but I'm not using him at all, guys. Honestly. He's still an awesome champion, though. Don't get me wrong. Now, the champion that I would really, really want to see buff, man, because he looks awesome. He's been in the game since forever, and we don't have a use for this champion. Bastafus, right? He has insane base stats. Like, that attack is the highest attack in the entire game. Almost 1,800 attack. But then all his kit is a mess, right? So I feel like he needs a bit of a rework. He needs something to shine, because the way he is, honestly, even for Faction Wars, you don't have that insane utility for him because of his affinity, right? You're going on stage 21, lots of spirit affinities, you're going with force, so will be a bit of a struggle. But guys, those are kind of like my 6 champions that I would like to see buffed, unvaulted, and the champions that I had a value search on my own account, and probably for a lot of you guys as well. Peace out.
Hello everyone, my name is EuStrats, and today I'm going to tell you 6 champions in total, I guess. 3 epics, 3 Legos, champs that I use, champs that I guess don't use anymore, but I used a lot before, and champs that I love the way they look, but I don't use anymore. So to begin with, champions, I used to use a lot, but I don't use anymore. So the Lego is going to be Badal Alcazar. I used to use him everywhere in my starting area, from Dragon to Clan Boss to Fire Knight, everywhere in the early game. And the epic champion I used to use before would be Grizzled Jar. I used him in Clan Boss, Dragon, pretty much everywhere. Really good attack down, defense up, but I don't use him anymore. Champions that I always use right now would be my Lego Kaima. I use him in Arena, Dungeons, Doom Tower, you name it. And the epic for that one would be a Madam. I only use her in Arena, to be honest, but I extremely love her and use her all the time. The champions, I love the way they look, but I don't use any, I guess would be Wallem. He reminds me of World of Warcraft Lich King. I think he looks amazing, but he's kinda too bad to be used. And the epic would be Scattered Shaman. She is just a budget version of Riho, to be honest, but I love the way she looks. Thank you, and I'll see you guys later.
Hey everyone, smileytk here. First of all, HellHades, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. I really, really appreciate it. You asked me 3 questions. First question was, chance I think that had a huge value surge, was rarely used before and used a lot now. So you want me to pick 1 epic and 1 legendary champion? For the first epic champion I went with is Vergus. As far as I know, he wasn't used as much back in the day, but throw him in a destroyer set with enough HP and resistance, and he is so good against the Scarab King. Once you get him there to the Scarab King, he will take care of the rest and solo it down. And onto the legendary champion. Dragstar is going to be my legendary pick. This guy had a huge value surge once Doom Tower came out. He's pretty much the MVP in most of the Doom Tower boss fights. In his A1, he pretty much has a built-in lifesteal along with HP burn, and he has an aura with a huge 70 accuracy increase in all battles. So, for the next question you asked me was champs I used to use that sit in the vault now. This pains me a lot to say because Skullcrown is my favorite champion in the game, and I maxed out 2 of them completely, and I will max out 2 more eventually, and I've collected every single Skullcrown I've ever gotten, and she will never ever be crunched, guys. She's my favorite champion, she will always be. But I just don't use her anymore because I use my ethos for Nightmare campaign farming, and when I go back over to Brutal, when I have to do like certain quests, then I'll just stick with the ethos because it's like, I don't have to go through the hassle. So it pains me to say that, guys, but Skullcrown is a champion that I do not use as much anymore that sits in the vault. So onto the legendary champion. My legendary pick is going to be Rosin. I simply don't use him that much anymore. He's an amazing, amazing, amazing champion. Really, really great champion. But I'm at the point now, I pretty much just use him for faction wars, and that's it. Alright, for the last question, Champ said I love that I want to see buffed. So this is a really weird question for me. I didn't really know how to answer this. It's a tough one. So I'm going to cheat here a little bit. And I went with champions that I might have maxed out that I want to see buffed. So for the epic champion I went with was Tolf the Maimed. This guy I maxed out recently. I did a video on him too. And I just don't know where he's going to be used. Like, I don't know where he has his use in the game. He has an interesting kit, but I'm fully maxed him out, fully booked him, fully mastered him. And I just don't know. Maybe you guys have an idea and you guys can let me know in the comment section down below, right? So yeah, that's my champion pick for the epics. And on to the legendary champion, Yukaro the Scourge. This champion looks so cool. He has like a really nice background and aesthetics is just awesome. Really, really awesome. I fully maxed this guy out too, fully mastered, fully booked, and I just want to make use of this champion somewhere in the game. I tested him out as much as I could, and yeah, he needs a buff. He needs a buff. So those are my picks. I hope you enjoyed it. HellHades, thank you so much once again for letting me be a part of this. It was an honor, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Hey guys, I'm victortez, and this is my list. Here we go. Champions that have surged in value for me. Lanikis and Seer. Both were in Vault. Now I use Lanikis in Clambus every day, and Seer in every fast run in dungeons. Champions that sidelined for me. Battlecazar and Realguard. Both were in my farming teams, and now they are looking for a job. Champions that I would love to use more. Inithwi and Jotun. Inithwi is a glass cannon. It's an impressive nuke, but a big glass cannon. And Jotun is like a diet turtle.
What's up, guys? I'm mtgjedi. I upload frequently to my YouTube channel as well as streaming on Twitch. I hope you guys come check that out. My two value surge champions are Iron Brago and Achak. Iron Brago has worked his way into a bunch of my Doom Tower teams. I've been using him on takeovers as well. And I think Achak with Spider 25 teams as well as some new Doom Tower content is about to just skyrocket in playability. To the vault are going to be an Ethwe Blood Twin and a big shocker here, Miscreated Monster. I think that Miscreated Monster is a wonderful champion. There are just a lot of other options, and an Ethwe really can't keep up in the current meta with the high defensive capabilities of these new champions. The champions I would love to see buffed are Ursine Iron Crusher and Whirlum. Whirlum's buff was simply not enough. Maybe he could get an extra turn on his A3 or 50% decrease AoE turn meters. And Ice Crusher just needs an overhaul. Two incredible champions. That's all my time. What do you think? Let me know. Some bold choices there, I think. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys.
So there we go, guys. That's everybody's picks. Go and give these guys a follow, subscribe to their channels, and get involved. But who would you have picked? Give us a comment below. I've been HellHades. I will see you later.